righty. Welcome, everybody, to this month's Cook Along Kitchen. If we don't yet know each other, my name is Shannon Parks. I'm your on site coach with UMR. I'm a registered dietitian by trade, and I absolutely love to cook. So, we offer these monthly cooking demonstrations for you all to come up with some creative, healthy foods that you can incorporate into your daily lives. This month, we are doing after school snacks. Now, whether you have children or not, you're probably pretty aware that school has finally come back into session after summer. You see the school buses, you see the kids everywhere. Of course, we see the traffic. Now, whether you have kids or not, the snacks that we're making today work for everybody. They're delicious, they're easy, and mostly, I think most importantly, they're fun, especially if you have kids. I wish that I could have brought my two boys in to help me with today's demonstration. I know that they would have loved it because they love to help me cook at home. So today we are going to make 3 different after school snacks. We're going to start with an energy bite, a no bake monster cookie bite, which is such a fun name for kids. We'll go over the ingredients for that. We'll start with that because that needs to chill and firm up for a couple of minutes before we form the cookie dough bites. Then we're going to work with something called apple nachos. Those are going to be really fun. So we'll thinly slice an apple, put some nice toppings on it, and make a crunchy afternoon snack. And then lastly, we're going to finish up with some fruit and cheese skewers that have a really nice yogurt dip to go with them. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and get started. I promised you that we would be starting with our no bake monster cookie bites. So I'm going to get a medium sized mixing bowl here. And let's review our ingredients for this. Our base is going to be oats. I chose organic oats simply because oats are really highly sprayed with pesticides and herbicides. Oats are also a wonderful source of iron and fiber in our diet, and they give us some beta glucans, which help with gut health. So that'll be our base. We'll have some oats. To that, we're going to add some creamy peanut butter. Again, I purchased organic because nuts and seeds are heavily sprayed with pesticides and herbicides. We want to try to eliminate that where we can. So we've got that. We'll add in a little bit of honey to sweeten the deal and to help bind it. And then some mini M&Ms for fun and some sprinkles. Now, you could choose to mix in some mini chocolate chips. You could choose to mix in some nuts. You could choose to mix in some seeds. Really, the mix-ins are totally up to you. But because these are geared towards children, I wanted to use things that I know personally my kids love, mini M&Ms and sprinkles. If they could put sprinkles on anything, I swear they would. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to put some gloves on here because ultimately I'm going to be rolling these into little balls. So from a nutrition standpoint, one of these little oat balls that we're going to make is about 100 calories. It's going to offer 13 grams of carbohydrate, 1 gram of fiber, and then it's also going to offer us 3 grams of protein and 5 grams of fat. So it makes a nice afternoon snack for kids coming out of school. I don't know about your kids if you have kids, but mine, as soon as they see me, they say, "Mom, do you have a snack for me?" And so I've learned quickly over the years to have a snack on hand when they get home from school. Just going to get my measuring cups here. Well, where did my measuring cups go? There's one. Hmm. I wandered off. That's okay. We'll use what we have. So this is 1 cup measure. So we'll use that. Okay. So we're going to start in our mixing bowl. We're going to go 1 1/4 cup of old fashioned oats. So not the instant oats. So this is a 1 cup bowl. I'm going to do about 1 1/4 in here. And then we're going to add to that a 1/2 cup of creamy peanut butter. I like this peanut butter because it's nice and drippy. So it makes it really easy to pour. Some peanut butters are so thick and stiff. Okay, so we've got a 1/4 cup, or I'm sorry, a 1/2 cup of peanut butter. We're going to add to this a 1/4 cup of honey. Now you could also do agave, you could do maple syrup, whatever is your fancy. I like honey for the natural sweetness, and then it also gives us a little bit of a taste of our environment with the pollen. If you do a local honey, and I believe this is a local, yep, Haines City, local honey, orange blossom honey. So that's great. Gives us a little taste of our environment, if you will, through the pollen and the honey that comes as a result of it. All right, so we've got all of that in there. Now let's go ahead and add in some of our fun mix in. So we're gonna do 1/3 of a cup. I'm gonna use my tablespoon measure here. And I'm gonna go 4 tablespoons on it because I don't know where my measuring cups are. And then sprinkles, I'm gonna do the same thing, about 4 tablespoons. And this is a 2 tablespoon measure, so. Okay, awesome. Now let's give this a good mix. I'll come around and show you what our mixture looks like. And then I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator just to kind of let it firm up a little bit and let everything gel together so that it more easily forms into energy balls when we go to form it. Good, just making sure that all the ingredients get nice and coated with the honey and the oats. Beautiful. All right, let me come around and show you guys what this looks like right now. I feel like I could eat it just like this. So this is what our mixture, you see how loose it is. This is what our mixture looks like right now. I'm gonna go stick it in a fridge and allow it to firm up while we make our other items today. All right, so into the fridge that goes. And while that is doing its thing and working its magic, let us start working on our apple nachos. Now, these are super fun. Again, you can have a wide array of toppings. So for this, we're going to use, I chose a Gala apple. I like the Gala because they have a thin skin and they are a little bit on the sweeter side, which kids tend to favor. You could use green apple, you could use Honeycrisp, Pink Lady, whatever is your fancy, but I chose an organic Gala apple. And then as well for my other fruit that I've used today, I did pre-wash this morning. So what I've done is I put my fruit in a big bowl. I add about a tablespoon of baking soda and about 1/4 to a 1/2 cup of white vinegar. And then I fill the rest of the container with water, warm water. And then I let it set for about 10 minutes and rinse it thoroughly. That's going to get any residues off of it. It's going to help break down the wax on the outside of the apple and other waxed fruit and just get any residues, pesticides, etc. off of them. So we've got our apple. That's going to be our chip for our nachos, if you will. And then you can see here I've got some walnuts. I've got some coconut, and we're going to be using some of this peanut butter to drizzle on top. And then we can always do some sprinkles too if we wanted to jazz it up a little bit. So let's start here. I'm just going to make a thin slice to get a straight edge going. We'll set that guy to the side. I'll snack on him later. And we're just going to make really thin slices through this apple. And you could arrange them on a pretty plate if you wanted to. And like I said, you can use whatever toppings your heart desires, whatever toppings your kids like. They might even want to get in on this activity of making the apple nachos with you. Like I said, my boys, they love to help in the kitchen, so they would be totally down to create something like this with me after school. Good, so just slicing this really thinly towards the core. Try not to get any of that rough core material in my apple slices. Looks like we're getting pretty close here. All right, good. So we'll set the rest of this apple over here to the side as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread them out kind of in an even layer. They can overlap a little bit. I'm going to spread them out along this plate, or rather cutting board that I'm using. You could put them on a pretty plate if you were at home. You can kind of do whatever suits your fancy. This might even be like a fun, I know football starting, it could be a fun, healthy football type snack. So I've got my apples arranged here on my cutting board. And now I'm going to drizzle a little bit of peanut butter over the top. So I'll use my measuring spoon here. We're just going to do a little drizzle of our drippy peanut butter over the top. Now you could use whatever kind of nut butter you want. You can make your own nut butter. You could go sunflower butter if you don't eat nuts or have an allergy to peanut butter. You can certainly do sunflower butter. Nothing wrong with that at all. Okay, so we've got a drizzle of our peanut butter on there that's already looking so yummy. And now I'm going to sprinkle on some walnuts. I love the health benefits of walnuts. They're so good for our brain. They're so good for our body. They provide healthy fats and a little nice crunchy texture. Walnuts are also a great source of fiber. Let me see what there's 2 grams of fiber per quarter cup, which is pretty good for a nut. Good. So I've got some walnuts on there. Let's add a little bit of shredded coconut. Now this is organic, unsweetened shredded coconut. I'm just going to sprinkle this lightly over the top. Y'all, I might have to just stop the show and eat these right here, right now. They look so good. And then for fun, a little sprinkles. Why not? Right? If we were making these for kids, so funny when I had my sons were little, anything that they were hesitant to eat, I would tell them, put some sprinkles on it. You don't want to eat your mashed potatoes? Put some sprinkles on it. And then suddenly it became a magical food that they wanted to eat more of. Food hacks, right? All right, friends, here's our apple nachos. How fun do those look? Little sprinkled peanut butter, walnuts, coconut, sprinkles. So good, so yummy. Awesome. Okay, last but not least, for our final party trick here, we're going to do our fruit skewers. So I have here about 2 cups of strawberries. Like I said, I did rinse these earlier. I washed them very thoroughly. I'm going to cut the tops off of the strawberries and then just cut them in half for our skewers. And I've also got green grapes here. I started to grab red grapes, and then I thought, I think the green grapes will give a nice color contrast. Sometimes it's not just about taste, but also about how a food looks. And we eat with our eyes, right? And so cutting or providing different colors and textures really does satisfy us more during our meals, which is always so interesting to me. Strawberries are berries in general are one of the foods that I recommend people to eat almost every single day or every day if they can. Very rich in antioxidants, vitamin C, helps with your immune system and skin health, of course. So we've got our halved strawberries there. I'm actually going to change out my gloves because now I've got strawberry juice all over them. I want to make sure that when I thread these with our cheddar cheese, that they are not getting strawberry juice all over my cheese. Probably still happen. That's okay. So I've got 12-inch long wooden skewers here. And this is totally an activity you could do with your kids too, right? So let's start with one of our strawberries. We'll follow that with one of our green grapes. And then we'll do a piece of cheese. Now I bought pre-cubed cheese for convenience. My kids would love this as an afternoon snack. Heck, I would love this as an after work snack. It's so fun, so easy to make. You could certainly make them in advance, and then just store them in an airtight container. You can use different cheeses or different fruits if your kids like different fruits or different kinds of cheeses. You could even alternate what kind of cheese is on the skewer. Maybe do like a white cheddar and a Gouda or something like that. Beautiful. So there's our first skewer. How cute, right? I love that. I'm going to keep making a couple more of these skewers using the supplies that we have. And then we're going to make a nice yogurt dip. So I love the Ratio yogurt. It is no added sugar, 25 grams of protein per individual serving cup. So I got the vanilla Ratio yogurt. I chose light sour cream to reduce our saturated fat, especially because we are also having cheese. So we're going to mix those two together, not the entire thing of sour cream, but probably about a third of a cup of sour cream. And then we'll add a little bit of cinnamon to it, and it'll become a really nice fruit dip for our skewers. Again, totally optional, but does yield a little bit more protein for our fruit skewers, which is nice. Protein is a very satiating nutrient, and the cheese is also giving our kiddos some calcium with the dairy, which is really important. A fact not many people know is that the amount of calcium you consume before the age of 30 actually directly impacts how your bones age over the age of 70. So calcium is really important, especially for our youngsters or anybody under the age of 30. And then, of course, as we age, it continues to be important. But the earlier we get calcium rich foods into the diet, the better off for bone health long term. Which is why a lot of times I say to give kids milk and yogurt and dairy rich foods, cheese included, if they can tolerate it. Of course, I know there's some kids out there that are severely lactose intolerant, and we find calcium other ways for them. So tell me, and you can feel free to come off of mute or leave it in the chat and I'll be able to see it later. But tell me, what of these three options, these three snacks that we're making today, what would you be most likely to see yourself making for your family or even for yourself? I'd be curious to see which of these seems up your alley.
I would love the apples, except for I wouldn't
Yeah.
want the coconut.
Okay, yeah, and that's the
So I
fun
don't
thing
know what else
about
you'd put in place of it, but
you could put flaxseed or chia seed. You could put like really whatever you wanted on them. Um
that looks
you
good.
don't have to have coconut by any means.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but that looks
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I hope you'll make these apple nachos sometime and make them your own. And let me know how much you enjoy them. Anybody else want to share? I feel like these fruit skewers would be a huge hit in my house. I'm thinking we have a birthday party for some young family members this weekend. And I'm like, maybe I should make some of these fruit skewers. They're really easy to make and they're pretty and healthy. All the things that we like. Good. Got a little bit more ingredients to work with here. So I'm going to keep making our skewers. We probably got enough for maybe two more skewers. Where our strawberries go. We've got plenty of grapes left, so we may just make some grape and cheese skewers, and that's perfectly fine too. You could definitely use, like I said, other fruits, cut up apple, mango, other berries. You can make this into whatever you fancy. That's what I love about a lot of these recipes is that they are so modifiable to meet your own preferences, taste buds, health needs, etc. You can make them into whatever you need them or want them to be. All righty. One more strawberry left, one lone strawberry. So this one we're going to be doing mostly grapes and cheese on, and that's okay. I'm a big fan of having healthy snack options around. My kids know that yogurt is a popular snack in our house, fresh fruit for sure, just things that are going to promote their health. Unfortunately, kids are targeted by the advertisements of all of the ultra processed foods that significantly decrease our health quality. And so, having healthy foods that are fun around, I think, really does help promote consumption of those foods, right? If it's there, we'll eat it. And that goes with the unhealthy stuff too. If it's there, we're going to eat it. And so, I try to make sure that our children have access to foods that are healthy, that are fun, that are foods that they enjoy, and would be more likely to reach for and snack on. Now, don't get me wrong, they like their share of, potato chips and things like that. They're normal kids, but I do try to promote them eating fresh fruits and vegetables and proteins that are going to serve their body as they grow. All right, friends, we're getting to the end here of this, and then I'm gonna make our fruit dip. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got a little bit of a skewer stuff left, but I wanna make this dip so that you guys can see how it comes out. So I've got a little bowl here. I'm going to add the entire 5.3 ounce container of yogurt to the bowl. And then we are going to add um, about a little bit less than a half cup, so about a third cup of sour cream to this. And also 2 tablespoons, here's our honey, 2 tablespoons of honey. And some cinnamon. Now, you may notice that I have what's called Ceylon cinnamon here. We are going to use a half teaspoon. So I'm just going to measure with my heart here. But Ceylon cinnamon, if you eat cinnamon on a regular basis, Ceylon cinnamon is much better for you. Regular cinnamon, a lot of people don't know this, but regular cinnamon does, if you're consuming more than a quarter teaspoon a day, it can cause liver damage. So just be mindful of that if you consume cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon does not cause that. So there's a big difference there in why we want to choose Ceylon cinnamon over the regular cinnamon. All right, let's give this a taste, see if it needs any adjusting at all. I've got my little tasting spoon here. Perfect. Okay. So here's our dip. Let me walk our skewers. Ooh, I don't want to lose any. Let me walk our skewers around. Here's our beautiful fruit skewers and our yogurt dip. How pretty are those, right? I would definitely eat those. Now let's go get our Monster Energy Bite mixture out of the fridge and start putting those bad boys together. All right, our mixture has been chilling for maybe about 20 minutes or so. And so it certainly has firmed up quite a bit. I have a scoop here that I'm going to use. In fact, I'm going to make some room on my skewer plate there. And we are going to nestle them right there next to our skewers. Now, I cannot tell you how excited I am to feed my coworkers and my family. Anytime they see me getting ready for a cooking demo, they say, "Are there going to be leftovers? Can you bring home leftovers?" I say, sadly, there's very rarely leftovers because my colleagues love the food that we make. So we'll see if they get lucky today. So I'm going to use my scoop here, scoop out and press down. And then I'm just gonna gently try to form this into a ball. Now these are still a little bit loose. They don't have to be perfect by any means. There we go. You could add maybe a little bit more peanut butter, maybe a little bit more honey to make these more binded together. But I'm also compressing them pretty deeply into or compressing them pretty tightly into my scoop here. And that's creating a nice half ball type shape. And that'll work for me today. My family loves when we make these energy bites at home. We have all different kinds that we like to make. And in fact, I'm doing a cooking demonstration in the coming weeks for a local work group that wants me to come make these energy bites at one of their team meetings. So keep that in mind. If this is something that you think would be of value to your team, pass it by your supervisor or management, of course, but I would be more than happy to come out and do something like this for you. UMR covers the cost of the food, so you don't have to worry about that part. Beautiful. We're getting down to the end of our mixture here. Maybe one, maybe two left. Oh my gosh, guys, these look so good. They're so cute too, with all the mix-ins. I know that my kids would absolutely devour these. Probably my fiance too. All right, my friends, there we have it. In less than 30 minutes, we made 3 super healthy, super kid friendly, and adult friendly after school, after work snacks, however you want to call them. We've got our apple nachos, we have our fruit and cheese skewers with a yummy yogurt dip, and then we have our monster cookie energy bites. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you'll consider using these recipes. I'll send them out to you as well as the replay, and I'll see you again next month. Take care and be well, my friends.